2 minute drill time. It's Jim Monahan along with Chris Swendman on a Monday night. And Swendman, I am fired up, and it's not good for Mets fans.
I passed the torch over to you. Last week, I was fired up. This week, I'm taking the back seat. Have the floor, Jim.
It's only fitting that the Mets and Phillies are playing right now because I have a fear that Met fans are doing their best. I mean, they're holding it back for the most part, but they're doing their best to imitate Philadelphia fans. And I just can't stand it. And I'm referring to Juan Soto. I was listening to Evan and Tiki on
Yeah.
WFAN late last
Hmm.
week, and they were basically pleading with Mets fans not to boo Juan Soto. And Soto, granted, not off to the best start in the world. I understand it. But it's not as if the team is struggling. They're in first place. They have a really good record, like maybe the third best record in baseball right now. Only two teams coming into tonight's game have more wins, and that would be the Padres and the Dodgers, and it's one more. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Soto right now, yes, not off to a great start, but even at this pace, Chris, he's going to hit 22 home runs and knock in 88 to 90 runs. Like, what are we doing? We want to boo him because he's not hitting a home run every time up because we don't think he's worth the money that he's getting paid. He hasn't even started to heat up yet. Can we just dial it back a little bit? And maybe, I don't know, you want to give him a standing ovation like they did the other night, but boy, can we just dial it back? Let's concentrate on the polar bear, who's doing really well, I might add. And
He
you
is.
know me, I'm not the biggest polar bear fan in the world.
I know. And that's big for you right now. We've made a breakthrough with you and the polar bear. But I will say this: heavy is the head that wears the crown. You want to sign for $700 million contract? You better be ready to go on day one in New York. Maybe maybe he wouldn't have to worry about it in San Diego, in a lot of places, not Philly. We know that. But
Really?
a lot of other cities, Anaheim, I heard is nice. They're very nice fans. They come and just clap. But in New York, you got to start hot out of the gate. When expectations are high for this team and Steve shells out, opens his wallet and says, "Here, write the number down, Juan. And you want your mom to have a skybox? Sure, we'll throw that in too. You better be ready to produce. It's New York City. You're in the biggest market. Fans have the right to boo. And you know what? They're going to exercise that right when you're not playing well. The best have gotten booed in this city.
Oh, that's
And
for
you know
sure.
what? Juan, welcome to the club. You're in good company.
I mean, they booed Jeter, they booed
Right.
Judge, they booed Mantle. Of course, that's the other
They've
side of
booed
town, but you get my point.
right. No, but it's all the and there have been plenty of Mets that have been booed over the years.
No
You
question.
know, so it's just you're in a big market. You signed a huge contract, the second biggest contract in Major League Baseball history. Expectations are high. You have to expect it and deal with it. And you know what? Now we're going to really see what Juan is made of because he even admitted that he's not hitting behind, he doesn't have Judge's protection. So, you know what? You're the guy. You wanted to be the guy. This is what happens when you're the guy. You get booed when you're not playing up to everybody's expectations. It happens. He'll deal with it. And I'm sure he's going to be just fine.
Speaking of the polar bear, I'd like to point out that he is hitting about 100 points over his career lifetime batting average. So that's not going to stay where it is. And his OPS right now is off the charts. And again, it's not going to stay where it is, nor will Soto for that matter. I think by the end of the season, you're going to be seeing 40 jacks and 130 runs batted in, and we can all just calm down and not turn into the second coming of Philadelphia fans.
Like we always say, everybody take a breath. It's a marathon, not a sprint, people. Everybody calm down. But if you want to get a little, edgy in your seat, you're getting a little uncomfortable, you can grumble, but give the guy a chance to settle in a new lineup with a bunch of new teammates. It'll all come together. We promise.
So the NFL draft is this week and it starts on Thursday. And if you're a team in need of a quarterback, this might not be the draft for you.
No, it definitely is not a quarterback heavy draft. Next year is projected to be the big QB draft again. It comes in cycles, Jim. They all do. Last year wide receiver heavy. This year running back heavy. It's the way it goes. But for local teams, if you're looking for a quarterback, this may not be the place you're going to find your franchise QB.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is still out there.
Yeah, about him. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
Uh,
that guy. And you
yeah,
saw what happened last week when he was talking about how
right.
I flew to New York on my own dime to go and have a face to face. Why couldn't they do it over the telephone? And so the Jets were taking some heat for that. What do you think would have been reaction if they had called him up, a Hall of Fame quarterback, and said, you know what? Hey, Aaron, nah, we don't need you. See ya. What do you think the reaction would have been then? They were in an absolute no-win situation.
They were going to lose that battle no matter what because Rodgers is going to be out in front of the camera and say, "Can you believe they made me do this? They made me fly across the country so they could tell me they weren't interested." But all of a sudden, you're going to, it's a joke. It's absolute joke that he was going to grandstand no matter what they did to him,
Mm-hmm.
unless they said we want you back with open arms, Aaron. It was going to be the Aaron show, and look what they did. And you know what? Um, Darren Moogie, the GM for the Jets, he took the high road today. His first real comments as GM, like one of the big, kind of I guess situations you would say that he's had to deal with. He said, "We love Aaron. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. I have nothing but respect for him, but we want to move on and move this franchise forward." Good for you. Great job the way you handled it. And you didn't let Rogers suck you into the he said, because that's exactly what he wants. He wants his name in the press. He's an egomaniac, and this is what he does.
So if you are a team, and I'm talking to you, Pittsburgh Steelers, thinking that maybe he's still out there, he's a Hall of Fame. Yeah, we can fix. No, no, avoid him at all costs.
Like the plague.
Take it on the chin for another season, and maybe you get the right guy in the draft next year.
I have a lot of friends that are Steeler fans. They're part of Steeler Nation, and not one of them that I asked, and purposely for the purpose of our show, I asked, would you want Aaron Rodgers leading your team? It was a resounding hard pass. Not one of them that I know. And granted, small group, but nobody wants this guy because look what he does. This is what he does. This is his MO.
So now I want to add a new feature here to the 2 Minute Drill podcast, and we're actually going to do something in 2 minutes. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see that Swendeman has his New York Rangers hat on. And well, there have been some changes with the Rangers. And Swendeman, I
Mm-hmm.
know you're a little irate. I know you're upset. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. You're on the clock. Go.
So Rangers follow up the President's Trophy season last year, 2 wins away from the Stanley Cup Finals with an absolute dud of a season this year. It was Nightmare on Broadway, and it was one of the worst seasons as a Ranger fan I can ever remember. And that's saying something for this team. The late 90s, early 2000s were probably some of the worst years any Ranger fan has lived through. This came real close. Laviolette gets fired this week. They have to make wholesale changes. They have to get rid of some of the players. The players are not tough. This team has no character. They need people to lead. Everybody's a follower. No one wants to take the lead on this team. No one wants to wear the C. No one wants to tell the guys, do not speak out to the press. We handle this in house. It was a horror show this year. The way their their body language on and off the ice, the way they spoke about their teammates, the players that did speak out got jettisoned off, including the captain Jacob Truba, one of their young up and coming players, Capo Caco. He spoke out. Days later, he was gone. You need to infuse this team with new life, and if that means getting rid of a lifelong Ranger like Chris Kreider, so be it. Because I'm telling you, this cannot happen again to this team. You have an all-world goalie in Igor Shesterkin, and if you're going to let him waste away like Henrik Lundqvist and without a cup, that should be a disgrace. And that's on Chris Drury to fix all of this. And don't come at me with the old time boys club coaches. Find some new blood to infuse into this team.
Wow, right on the mark there, Swendeman. A fired up Ranger fan, Chris Swendeman. And that puts a wrap on this week's 2-minute drill with Jim Monahan and Chris Swendeman. Like, follow, do all of that stuff so we can keep doing it. And we'll find something else to get riled up about next week. Thanks, Chris.
You got it, Jim. Talk to you soon.